Good Friday afternoon, everybody out there in YouTube land. It is your buddy Choppadong, and I am coming at you from the DFS Army side of things today because I have a very important announcement to make. We have just decided to set up I won't call it a free trial, but let's call it a cheap trial offer to join DFSArmy.com for a limited time only. I don't know how long we're going to do this. It's based on response, based on popularity as to whether or not the people want it to stick around, but we're offering a 5-day trial for $10, $2 a day. If you don't cancel, you will auto renew at the regular pricing, but what you get is you get to unlock everything: content, tools, coaching, the Slack coaching forums, the tools, the cheat sheets, the premium articles, the Domination Station Optimizer, everything. Our NFL Draft Kit is on the site right now. All of our how to crush particular sports videos on our YouTube channel. Everything is open and unlocked to you by using the coupon code TRIAL, TRIAL, and use that link. You can head over to the DFS Army Twitter account at this link here, or you can certainly just go down to the comments section, click the link down there, use coupon code TRIAL, TRIAL, and grab that $10 coupon offer for 5 days. Now, hopefully you guys all decide to stick around. You get into the Slack, you get to talk with me, with some other coaches, and it will take a couple days to get up and running, but hopefully you can see everything that you have at your fingertips and disposal to turn you into a better player, because that's our goal. And hopefully it's enough time to make you stick around, because honestly, I think that you're missing out if you're not involved. MMA, NASCAR, PGA, MLB, NFL's on the way. We just crushed preseason last night. Everything is right there for you. Now, that said, let's dive in and let's show you how to use the Domination Station player, kind of control a player pool and then turn around and make something really fast tonight. Let's use the DraftKings MME quarters contest, because tonight this is just, I'll show you how I would do this right now. It's super simple. And the first thing I'm going to do, if I wanted to, I can go into the MLB research station and do my normal process, which is, pitching and hitters and 200 on 200 and trends tool, L7 WOBAs, L7 ISOs, all that kind of stuff. And I'll be using that on our Express sheet later on tonight. But this just got dropped in my lap today to push and promote this trial, so I decided to make a video today that I probably wasn't going to get to otherwise. What I would do if I was you and I was in here real quick tonight, I'd run to Domination Station. I'd click on that main site. I'd go ahead, what the hell, let's do DraftKings, right? I said I was going to do DraftKings. Let's kick on that main slate tonight. And while that loads up, let's go down the list and take a look at who the best scoring players are in our player pool. Because what we're going to want to use is one of the three methods. You can go straight fantasy points, which is using our customized projections. You can use DFS Army grades, which are the grades in the research station. If I slide over just a little bit to the right, these grades right here, it will prioritize those, which are an all-inclusive matchup for, everything from what the hitter gives up to handedness, the pitcher gives up the handedness, the hitter hits for handedness, ballpark factors, Vegas odds, IRT, all that stuff is already factored into this DFSA grade. And creating that matchup score, you can use that by clicking DFSA grades, or you can blend the two together using hybrid score. That's probably one of the better ways to go about things that I've found right now. I'll kick on to server mode because it's a little bit faster. I want to make, say, 20 lineups for DraftKings and their quarters contests tonight. So I'm going to set it at 20. So what I need to do is I need to go through and I need to find a couple of factors here, in my opinion. I need to find the best pitchers. Who are those going to be? I can kick on to pitchers here, and I can go by hybrid score, sort by hybrid score, bring the best to the top, and I've got Lance Lynn, Paxton, Clevenger, Eduardo Rodriguez, Vargas, whatever, Alex. You can decide among a bunch of these guys, but let's say I only wanted to run Lynn, maybe some Paxton, Eduardo Rodriguez, which is dangerous against the Yankees. I know. I'm just play with me here. I'm going hypothetical with you here really quick. Vargas against the White Sox, maybe some Wade Miley, maybe some Steven Matz. And let's say I just wanted to use those 5. I got a few expensive, a few middle, and a few, down cheap. And on DraftKings, I can make a variety of lineups that way. I'm not going to mess with the exposure caps yet. We'll get into that in a different video. Let's say that we went into wanting to find really quickly our worst pitching matchups, which would be best offensive stacks. And this is a very crude way to do it. You've followed my videos enough to know how I typically am going to go about these things. I got to turn these off because this is me working on the express slate, which I'll get back to in a little bit. Hopefully that'll be out with a couple of hours for you guys to digest, that jump in here on the trial offer, and you can play the smaller slate, just a 3-game slate. Come over here, make sure we're sorted by DFSA grade, which we are. Let's go ahead and actually sort it by K-score. Oops, I'm going to stack. I need to go back to descending by DFSA grade. Sorry, brain fart. Because what we need these bottom of the monkey order guys here. Something under a 35 is great. Any of these guys are probably in play. I'm going to look over here in the pitcher stats. I'm going to be looking for a lot of pinks and reds going across the bottom. These bottom 3 guys, let's say those are my main 3 stacks. Pretty easy to spot right there, wasn't it? I scroll back over here. Kikuchi, Sparkman, Dylan Peters. That's Houston, Minnesota, and Cleveland. Houston, Minnesota, and Cleveland. So I can go right over here to Domination Station. And remember, Houston, Minnesota, and Cleveland. And now I can start, when I've got my pitchers, I can start actually going through my player pool and find the best catchers by hybrid score. Let's see if any of them are Houston, Minnesota, or Cleveland, because that's what's going to help me. Houston, Toronto, there's Minnesota, there's Cleveland. So 3 of the top 5, that stack is represented. The best hybrid scores at catcher are these 5 guys right here. I mean, if you want to use Buster Posey, that's fine. I'm just saying that these guys contain the stacks we're looking for in Cleveland, Minnesota, and Houston. So I'm going to come up to first base. I'm going to do the same thing. I would write these top 5 guys down. Gurriel, Santana, Sandoval, Belt, Smoke, Tyler White. And I'm going to come down here and see Houston, Cleveland, and there's not a Minnesota on there, but there's a Houston and a Cleveland on there, right? Now I'm going to go over to second base. Altuve, VR, Merrifield, Biggio, Arias. And I'm going to look down here at the hybrid scores and look for some drop-offs. 72 to 65 is a pretty good drop-off, which puts a lot of emphasis on Altuve, in my opinion. These guys are all about the same. It drops off a little bit more here. So really and truly, I'm going to want to stay kind of up the top here and free up some value because Altuve is very important to the second base position tonight because none of these other guys are necessarily matching up against him. And he's a Houston guy. Here's a Minnesota guy in areas if he makes the lineup. Cleveland, Kipnis not far away. So our stacks, our key stacks are definitely involved, definitely kind of up there towards the top of the ranking. Houston, Bregman, Ramirez, Cleveland, Gurriel, Houston, Machado, of course, Rendon, of course, almost always in play. San Francisco, don't see Minnesota with Miguel Sano down here, although I will tell you a little hint. Miguel Sano is probably in a pretty good spot tonight. But you can see where we're going with this. And then we're going to go up here to shortstop. So if you're writing these top 5 down, you're building yourself a player pool. There's Bregman again, Lindor, Machado again, Polanco, Correa, Houston, Trevor Story, Colorado at home. So these might be the guys that you're focused on there. Again, big drop between Bregman and Lindor. And another decent drop from Lindor down to Machado and Polanco. So these are going to be your top 2 plays on the night, Houston and Cleveland. Sounds like we're talking about Houston and Cleveland quite a bit tonight. Now I'm going to come down here into the outfield, and this is going to be a deeper position, so I'm typically going to dive down, fairly deep in the rankings, 77 all the way down to about 67. That's not a big gap in outfield, which is why you can always find your value here. And I'll start looking for cheap guys, 3,900 from Emil Reyes. Not a ton of cheap guys, but Emil Reyes might be a pretty important guy for me tonight. Trout, Ohtani, Springer, Houston, Reyes, Cleveland now, Gurriel, Betts, Blackman if he plays, Luplow, Cleveland, Acuna, Brantley, Houston, Yastrzemski is generally cheaper, but wow, he got priced up. Kepler, Minnesota. So you can see that Houston, Cleveland, and Minnesota are represented pretty high here. So let's let the domination station fill in everything else for us. Going back to all, we're creating 20 lineups. We've got a few pitchers selected. We're going to go controlled stacking. You can do randomized stacking. If you do randomized stacking, you set up your stack parameters. Make sure all of these numbers in here, percentages that you want to put on these teams, adds up to 200%. If not, you'll get a whole bunch of weird stuff in there. If it adds up to 200%, 100 on the left side stack and 100 on the right side stack, or stack A, stack B, whatever you want to call it, 100% on each, that will then tell you that you're going to get that 4x3 that you're wanting, and it's going to be from the teams that you want. I don't use random stacking very often. I actually use controlled stacking. Controlled stacking allows me to pick my players. If I say I want Houston, I can set my stack percentage in there, and it allows me to pick the players that I want, or I can just leave it alone at all players. I will oftentimes leave it at all players. If I'm on DraftKings, I could go full-on 5 stack. but I usually tone it down to about 4. Whoops, I come up here and do 2 or 3 unique players, and I leave it alone. I don't double stack. If I double stack, I'm not letting the projections and the hybrid scoring system kind of take over. I'm controlling it maybe a little bit too much. And I want to use my own thoughts to generally guide the ship here, and then I want to let the big steam engine take me there, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm trying to do. I will add another team, which will be Cleveland, of course. And I will add another team, which will be Minnesota. And I will say I really like Houston. So I'll put, say, 50% of my stacks on Houston and then 25 on Cleveland and Minnesota each. This adds up to just 100%. Okay? Because now I'm going to get these guys in almost every single lineup of the 20 that I run. I should have Houston in about 10 of them, and I should have 5 Clevelands and 5 Minnesotas. And if one of my stacks or my thoughts go off, I should be in position to cash quite a few lineups in that quarters contest or any MME contest that I'm using. You can build this all the way out to a full 150 lineups. I'm only using, and you can include even more teams. I'm just using it right now to show you briefly how to do this. I'm going to leave it at all players. And being that it's DraftKings, I have to change a couple of guys around. So let's just say 11.5 for Bregman. And let's just say 12.25 for Trout. Kind of keep them the same. Let's get right around that loophole. And then let's go ahead and click Optimize. And let's see what these lineups produce. As I'm cranking along here, hopefully with the server side settings, hopefully we're starting to crank some lineups here. Now it's going to bog, it should be faster for you. It's going to bog down a little bit for me because I'm running the screen share software. I've got about 5 tabs open in the background that are all running different varied programs and things right now. So my resources are getting hogged up pretty good. But it should run a little bit faster for you. It's almost there. We're at 15 lineups. As we start cranking, we're going to start checking percentages, but I'm going to not really worry about that too much. I'll briefly scan the lineups just to show that there should be a lot of Houston in there and some Minnesota and some Cleveland. But then what I'm going to show, and I may like some of these lineups, but what I'm going to show you is how to deal with this and get it uploaded into DraftKings right away. So I'm looking at Vargas and Paxton. They were on my list. Vargas, Paxton. If I want, I can click over here and check all of my pitcher percentages. Wade Miley, Eduardo Rodriguez, Vargas, Paxton. No Lance Lynn, which surprises me a little bit. Catcher, first base, whatever, all the same. I scroll down here and I see Houston, 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 Houston with a little bit of Seattle. And Ohtani is a one-off. Now, that's telling me that the domination station is going to like a little bit of Seattle tonight. It's something that I might want to go back and do a little bit of research on to see if I didn't miss something by just picking on the bad pitchers. Did I miss another matchup that's in a pretty good spot? There is Houston, Houston, Houston again with Tyler White. Tyler White's obviously very important. There's a double LA with a Seattle. Got a little bit more Baltimore with a Houston. A couple of Houstons, LA, LA, LA. Really prioritizing LA. Okay, so maybe LA's in a good spot tonight too, as well as Seattle. There's Houston again, Houston again. As we scroll down, we see all these little varied lineups between. It looks like it loves Houston up top more than Minnesota and more than Cleveland. Otherwise, it'd be loading them first. But now we got a Cleveland stack with LA again and Tyler White again, and Diaz at catcher, which is interesting. Now I've got more Cleveland with Perez at catcher, and then loves Tyler White. Now, if that's too much Tyler White for me at 95%, I can always come in here and I can put him at a cap of, say, 60%, and then I can re-optimize the lineup and roll from there. But once I look through these lineups, and I pretty much like what I'm seeing, let's see what it does for Minnesota down here. There's Castro, Arez, Polanco, Cruz with some Seattle and some LA, of course. Minnesota with 2 LA guys again. Looks like I'm going to have a ton of Ohtani and Trout and Upton and whatnot. So if I wanted to, of course, I can go back in here and I can cap them down too and then rerun the thing and do what I want to do. But once I like what I see, I come down here, I click download. Once it downloads my CSV file, I run straight out to the contest lobby of DraftKings, click my MLB. I'm sorry, I click lineups. Did that out of order. I click lineups. And once it loads my lineups, I'm going to pick my slate. Really would like to know what it's doing to me right now. That's frustrating. Come on, you stupid machine. All right, let's try this again. Here we come. We're going to upload lineups. And then we're going to pick our sport. And we're going to pick our slate, the 12-game main slate. And then what we're going to do is click Upload CSV. And I'm not going any further in this because I don't want to have to go edit a bunch of crap tonight. But when I click Upload CSV, I'm going to go into my Downloads folder and I'm going to find this file that ends in 603 for me. And then I'm going to double-click that one. It's going to pull all of the lineups into here. And once it pulls all the lineups into here, I'm simply just going to go back to the lobby. And then I'm going to get to my slate. And then from there, I'm going to select my contest. I've got the regular 12-game slate. I've got classic. I don't want a showdown. I want the classic style. I want all 12 games. Now I'm going to just click the entry fee and I'm going to scroll down here and find my quarters contest. So I've got one with 38,000 people in it. A little bit later, I'll probably have another quarters contest open up. There's some smaller ones if you want to play in some of those. Whatever you want to do, you can even get in the mini max for $1 if that's your game, or the $2 and $3 and $4 multi-entries. Whatever your game is, you can play in all of those, and you can rock and roll, and you can learn how to play this MME style inside DFSArmy.com. You can do it for $10 for 5 days, just like I was talking about. But what you wind up seeing is how we end up working here at DFSArmy.com. You come over here to accept the invite out of your email and dig in to all of the different channels that we have here. If you want to know what channels are open to you, because you're going to join a few automatically, you would click on channels once you've downloaded the Slack app for your desktop. You can go all the way down these lists and see which ones you might want to join that pertain to you and get in these channels and start consulting the coaches. We have some that have coaches' names like CG, Cash Keg, etc. And then we have sports like college basketball, college football. You want to scroll down here, we've got a weather channel that will update you on the baseball information. Geek Speak for NFL. Just a whole smattering. There's your MLB one, MLB Fanduel, MLB Draftkings, where our coaches are hanging out tonight. So very, very simple to get in here and get up and running in short order. Use the domination station. Use the coaching picks pages, which are also under the MLB tab if that's a sport that you're going to play. And those will then open up all of the cheat sheets that our coaches are compiling for you. And I'll show you those really quickly. With blue for core plays, scroll down here, find the catchers, first baseman, second baseman, shortstops, etc. that are on the list of this particular coach for the day. Some notes, some confidence ratings, 5 stars here, 4 stars here, 3 stars here, as well as cash, all format, GPP only, etc. This is what you're looking for to quickly compile your lists if you're in a hurry. You'll take these guys in there. You'll make sure that they're on your list. If you're hand building, you can learn how to construct through the domination station. And time probably can't do it tonight, but you can learn over the next couple of days and then see if this is where you want to make your home. I think it will. So use that coupon code TRIAL, TRIAL. Trigger that trial offer 5 days for $10 and get in here today and start learning this weekend when it comes to NASCAR, MMA, PGA showdowns. Everything is going to be up for grabs this weekend. And then next week we start preseason, week or two we start preseason football. Oh man, you're going to want to be here for that as well. Hopefully this helps. Like and subscribe the video. As always, comment if you have questions, either Twitter DM, YouTube, get in here in Slack. You can always find a private message to me, Choppadong, in here as well. And hopefully I see you in here, and hopefully you become a long-term member here at DFS Army. We'd love to have you. Come on inside.